Hello and welcome back to our DSA playlist. In today's video, we'll see one of the most important sorting technique, that is merge sort. The points that we are going to cover in this video are as follows. At first, we'll understand what is merge sort through its definition and introduction. Then we'll take a look at the steps involved to sort an array using merge sort algorithm and also understand the same through an example. Then we'll see what is the space and time complexity for a merge sort algorithm and why do we need merge sort, along with some real-time applications as well. And at last, we'll see the C++ implementation of merge sort to sort an array with n number of elements in it. So let's get started. Merge sort is one of the significant sorting algorithm which is based upon divide and conquer technique. As we can see in the adjacent figure, divide and conquer technique implies that the given problem is firstly divided into smaller subproblems which are addressed independently. That is, we can find the solution for these subproblems that we have obtained after dividing the main problem. That is, we'll conquer them, and at last we'll combine all these solutions of the subproblems to get the final solution of the original problem statement that we have. Similar thing is followed in case of merge sort as well. So in merge sort, we are given with an input array or a linked list, which is firstly divided into two halves repeatedly till we get the isolated blocks or atomic values, we can say, or in other words, we can say till we get the blocks with single elements in them. And then at last we'll merge all of them in a sorted manner so as to obtain the final sorted array. So let's understand the same procedure in a stepwise manner. Here are the steps and the algorithm for the merge sort technique. The first step is to divide the original array into multiple subarrays till each of those have only one element in them. So we can say that the input array is divided into two subarrays, that is, we'll split the original array at its mid position into two subarrays, and again those two subarrays that we have obtained are splitted into two subarrays respectively. Thus we can say that we go on repeating this particular process and we'll get number of subarrays, and this process continues till each of the subarray has only one element in them. As we can see in the adjacent diagram as well, that the array is at first splitted into two subarrays, that is left subarray and the right subarray, and those two of them are again splitted into two. Thus we are obtaining more number of subarrays, and this particular dividing process is stopped at the point where each subarray will have only one element in them. Then the next step is to merge these subarrays similar to how exactly they were splitted, but we need to make sure that they are merged in a sorted manner. So to go about this particular process, we'll merge two subarrays at a time. So by comparing the elements in those subarrays, we'll merge them to form a new sorted subarray. We go on repeating this particular process for all the subarrays that are there, and in the last step again we have to merge the new sorted subarrays that we have got from the previous step to form the final sorted array. As we can see in this diagram, after the completion of the dividing process, we'll go on merging them in a sorted manner. So the first two blocks are merged into a new sorted subarray, and again we'll go on repeating this particular process till we obtain our final sorted array. This is how the merge sort algorithm works, and similar steps are followed for linked list as well. The picture of merge sort algorithm will be more clear from an example which we'll see now. So this is the input array that we are given with, and we need to use merge sort in order to sort this particular array. So at first we'll divide this original array at its mid position into two subarrays. So we'll obtain a left subarray and a right subarray. We need to repeat the same procedure for these two subarrays that are there, and again we'll obtain the pairs of two subarrays respectively for each of them. So at first we'll divide the leftmost subarray, so we'll get these two arrays from the same, and when we go towards the right subarray, then we'll divide it at the mid position and we'll obtain these two subarrays again. Now the next step is again we need to divide the leftmost subarray pair that is there. So once we divide it, we'll see that now we have reached to the stage where the subarray that we have got has only one element in them. So again we'll repeat the same procedure for the other subarray pairs that are there. So the next subarray pair has to be divided in the same manner, and we'll go on doing this procedure. So at this particular stage we'll see that each of the subarray that are there has only one element in them. So this is the point where we can say that the division is completed. Now we need to go towards the next step, that is the merging process. So this is the stage where we are right now, and now we have to merge them in the same manner as we have splitted them, just we need to merge them in a sorted manner. So we can see that these two has to be merged together, and we need to compare these two elements at first. So whenever 12 is compared with 7, so 7 is less than that of 12. So 7 will appear at first, as we are sorting it in ascending order. So 7 has to appear first, then the next two elements are compared, and again 3 is less than that of 14, so 3 will appear first, as we are sorting in ascending order. So similar procedure will repeat for the other sub-array pairs that are there, and will obtain this particular stage. Now again we need to go by the same procedure. Now that we have two elements in this particular sub-array and two elements in this array, so we need to iterate through those two arrays that are there, for which in terms of writing code we have to use two more variables. Let's say I is the variable which we'll be using to iterate through the leftmost subarray, and j is the variable which we'll be using to iterate through this particular subarray. So now in order to form the final subarray, what we have to do is, firstly we need to compare the first elements that are there. So we'll compare 7 with 3. Now 3 is less than that of 7, and as we are going by the ascending method, so we need to append 3 in the new sorted subarray that is there. So once 3 is appended, we need to increment the j value over here, that is the iterating variable has to be incremented. However, this particular value is not yet filled, so we'll not increment I. Now 7 is again compared with the next value, that is 14. So again 7 is less than that of 14, so we need to append 7 in the final array that is there. And now we are left with one element in leftmost subarray and one element with rightmost subarray. So in this particular case we need to take up another loop as well, and we'll simply iterate through those two loops, and we'll obtain our final array as like this. Similar procedure will repeat for the rest pairs that are there, and we'll obtain these two new sorted subarrays. Again we need to merge them together to reach the final sorted array, for which we'll repeat the same procedure. Let's say I is the variable which we'll be using to iterate through this subarray, and j is the variable which we'll be using to iterate through this subarray. So whenever one of the element which we found is less than the other half element, so in such cases we'll just write that particular element in our final array, and we'll increment that particular iterating variable's value in that respective subarray. So let's say if I compare the first elements with the first element in the right subarray, so 2 is compared with 3. 2 is obviously less than 3, so it will come first. And now as we have appended the element from the right subarray, so we need to increment the value of j, so it will go to the next element that is there, and that is 6. I is not incremented, so we need to compare the first element itself with 6. Now 3 is less than that of 6, so the next element has to be 3 in the final array. Now again we have added the element from the left subarray, so we need to increment the I value, as I is the iterating variable for leftmost subarray, so it will go to the next location, that is 7. Now 7 is compared with 6. 6 is less than 7, so 6 will appear, and now again j value will increment and it will go to the next element that is there. Again 7 is compared with 9, so 7 is less than that of 9, so 7 will appear, and then what we'll do, we'll increment the value of I, as we have added the element from the leftmost subarray. So we'll go on repeating this particular process by comparing each elements in this particular manner, and whenever a particular element is added in the final array, so we need to look from which array we have obtained it, and we'll need to increment that particular iterating variable. So the final array that we'll got after these many comparisons is nothing but the final sorted array. So this is how we need to sort a particular array using mod sort algorithm. Now let's take a look at the space and time complexity for mod sort algorithm. The space complexity is big O of n. As in case of mod sort, the array is at first divided into multiple subarrays. Those subarrays can be termed as temporary arrays as well. However, the final sorted array that we got has an auxiliary space for n number of elements. Thus, we can say that the space complexity is big O of n. Then the next thing is about time complexity. So in terms of time complexity, the array of size n can be divided into maximum log n number of parts. And then the next procedure is about merging those subarrays, which requires a time of big O of n. Thus, when we merge these two processes, that is first is dividing process and then the merging process, so the overall time complexity becomes big O of n log n. And this particular time complexity is same in case of base case, worst case and average case as well. As in all these three cases, the original array has to be divided at first into multiple subarrays, and then those subarrays has to be merged to obtain a final sorted array. So in all those three cases, the time complexity remains same, that is big O of n log n. Now let's understand why do we need merge sort. So from the time complexity itself, it is pretty much clear that merge sort is one of the faster algorithm for sorting. And when compared with insertion sort or selection sort or bubble sort, merge sort is again faster in terms of average case and worst case time complexities. While sorting larger list, merge sort is more often preferred. As in case of insertion sort or bubble sort, we have to iterate through the complete list several number of times, which will be a costly operation. So merge sort is more often preferred in such cases. Then merge sort needs a consistent running time, and as the array is divided into multiple sub-arrays, so we can say that different smaller computations are carried out in a quicker time in case of merge sort. Now let's take a look at the applications of merge sort. So it is an efficient sorting technique when it comes to sort larger data sets, and the access of the data or element is not random, rather it's sequential access. Merge sort is again used to solve the inversion count problem. The inversion count problem implies how close the array is from being sorted. That is, let's say we have an array A, and let's consider two elements in it, that is A of I and A of J. I and J nothing but denotes the position of those respective elements, and these two elements will form the inversion pair if A of I is greater than A of J and I is less than J. So similarly, we need to find out those inversion count for that particular array. Then merge sort is again used for external sorting as well, wherein which larger data is stored within the external memory which has to be sorted. So these are the applications of merge sort. Now we'll see the C++ implementation of the merge sort. Now let's write a C++ code for sorting an array using merge sort algorithm. So at first we'll include the header file, that is iostream, then using namespace std as usual. Then we'll write the main function at first. In the main function, firstly we'll declare a variable n which will store the size of the array. So we'll write the cout statement so that the user can enter the size of the array. Then we'll write a cin statement to accept the input value. Once we got the size of the array, then we have to declare an array of the same size, that is int a of n, which will create an array a of size n. So to accept the value for the elements as an input, we have to again use a for loop for the same. So before that, we'll write a cout statement once again, in which we'll write enter the elements. And then we have to write a for loop. So as we know that the indexing for an array starts from 0, so we'll write int I equals to 0, then the size of the array is n, so we'll write I is less than n, and then the incrementation will be I plus plus. In the for loop, we'll simply write the cin statement to accept those values of the elements one by one. Now that we have got our array, firstly we'll print the array before sorting, so we'll write a cout statement, that is array before sorting. And rather than repeating the same piece of code for printing the array, we have to simply use the display function here. So we'll define this display function later. It will take the first parameter as the array and the next parameter as the n or the size of the array. The only purpose of having the display function is to print that particular array. Then we'll use a merge sort function here. Basically, it is the translation of the merge sort algorithm. So everything that we have seen in the algorithm will be implemented in the form of a code using this merge sort function. Again, we'll pass the array as the first parameter, then the lower index and the higher index, or the upper bound and the lower bounds are passed as the next parameters. So as we know that the indexing starts from 0, and then the last element has the index as n minus 1, as there are a number of elements in the array. So we are passing 0 to the lower index, and then the upper index will be n minus 1. Once we do so, then the array will be sorted, and we'll write a cout statement, that is array after sorting. Now again we have to call the display function here, so we'll call the display function here, and again we'll pass the same parameters, that is a and n, to it. It will display the array after sorting. Then we'll write the return statement here, and here completes our main function. The only purpose of main function is that it will accept the size of the array, then the elements in the array, and then we'll print it before sorting. Then using merge sort function we'll sort it, and after which we have to print the array again. Now let's define the merge sort function here. So we'll write void then merge sort. We know the parameters. The first parameter is the array, which we are passing in the form of a pointer. You can also use square brackets here. Then the next parameter is the lower bound of the array, that is intl, then intu for the upper bound of the array. Now the purpose of merge sort is that we are given with an original array, we need to split it at the middle position into left sub arrays and right sub arrays, and recursively go on repeating this particular process till we get the isolated blocks, and then they are supposed to be combined together in a sorted manner. So for doing that, at first we'll include a condition, that is if the lower limit is less than the upper limit. Till then we have to continue this recursive process of merge sort. Now at first we'll calculate the mid value, for which we'll write int mid equals to the lower limit plus in bracket upper limit minus lower limit divided by 2. Now we know that the array has to be split into left subarrays and right subarrays, but the indexing for the mid value has to be referred with the reference to the original array. Hence we are using this particular formula. Now once we calculate the mid value, let's split it, for which we need to again call the merge sort function. We'll pass the array as the first parameter, then the next parameter will be lower limit, that is L. Now the left sub array will have the upper bound as the mid value, so we'll pass mid over here. Again we have to call the same function for the right sub array, and we'll write array here. Then we know that the next value to the mid value, that is mid plus 1, is nothing but representing the start index for the right sub array, so we'll write here mid plus 1, and the upper bound will be same as that of u. Now the array is split into left sub array, that is L to mid, and then mid plus 1 to u will be the right sub array. Now we'll write a merge function here, which will have the purpose of basically those sub arrays that we have got from the merge sort function will have to be merged together in a sorted manner, for which we are writing this merge function here. We need to pass array as the first parameter, then the lower limit, mid value, and the upper limit. So these are the 4 parameters for the merge function. Now let's define the merge function, so for which we'll write void merge. Then the first parameter is nothing but the array. Again we'll use the pointer for the same. Then the next parameter is the lower bound of the array, that is intl, then int mid for the mid value, and intu for the upper bound of the array. Now at first we'll declare a few variables over here, which are nothing but iterative variables, which we'll be using for iterating through those arrays, that is the sub arrays, and to reach out to the final array eventually. Then the next variable that we'll need is n left, and left, and right. So it nothing but represents the size of the left sub array and size of the right sub array respectively. Then what exactly we'll do is we'll basically write down the formula for the same. So n left is nothing but equals to the mid value minus the lower bound, and as the indexing for the array starts from 0, so add 1 to it, which will give us the size for the left sub array. Similarly for the right sub array, which starts from mid plus 1 to up to upper bound, we'll write upper bound minus mid value, which will eventually give us the size for the right sub array. Now what exactly we are going to do is, now that we have got the size for left sub array and right sub array, let's declare those arrays. So we'll have left array, which is of size n left, and then we'll write right underscore array, and in square brackets n right, that is its size. Now that we have declared those two left sub arrays and right sub array respectively, let's fill them up with the elements from the original array. So we'll write a for loop over here, and now we'll be using the I and j variables. So we'll write I equals to 0, then I is less than n left, that is the size for the left sub array, then I plus plus. Then we'll write left underscore array of I equals to the original array of L plus I. So L is nothing but the lower bound, and as it's the left sub array, so it will be starting from the lower bound itself, and I will be used to access the consecutive elements. Similarly for the right sub array, we'll write down for in bracket j equals to 0, then j is less than n right, which is the size for the right sub array, then j plus plus for the incrementation. Then we'll write down right array of j equals to the original array of, as it is starting from the mid plus 1 value, so we'll write down over here, that is mid plus 1 plus j to access the consecutive elements again. Here completes our filling up of the left subarray and the right subarray respectively. Now again we'll initialize I to 0, then j to 0, as we'll be needing them further as well, and we will initialize k equals to L, that is the lower bound, because k will be the variable which we'll be using for the final array formation. Now basically we'll write the code for sorting those arrays, and we'll compare the elements from the left subarray and the right subarray, and eventually sort them in the ascending order. For the same, firstly we'll have the while loop, then we'll iterate through the left subarray using I variable. So we'll write over here the condition, that is I less than n left and j less than n right. J is basically the variable which we'll be using to iterate through the right subarray, and we'll write the if condition over here. In the if condition, we'll specify if the element in the left subarray, that is left array of I, is less than or equals to the right subarray element, then in that case, as we are going by the ascending order, so our final array of k is equals to the left array of I. So we'll store the element from the left array as it is smaller than the element from the right array. Then we'll basically increment the I value as that particular element from the left array is stored, so we'll increment the ith value. Then we'll write down the else part, that is if the left subarray element is greater than the element corresponding in the right subarray, then in that particular case we'll store up the element from the right subarray. So we'll write the similar part of the code, that is right subarray of j will be written over here. Now that the element from the right array is stored, so we'll have to access the next element from the right array, so we'll increment the j value. After the completion of these if else block, we'll simply increment the k value, which will be incremented in each of the iterations. Now eventually from this particular part of the code, certain elements are not yet sorted and not yet filled in the final array. That is, certain extra elements are left in the left array and the right array as well. So to sort them and to fill up them in our final array, we have to write down again a while loop. So now the condition will be individual till I less than n left, the array of k will be equals to left array of I, then we'll increment the I value again, and as it is individual while loop, then we'll increment the k value as well. Now similar while loop we'll write for the right subarray as well, and we'll write down j is less than n right, then the array of k equals to the right array of j, will increment the j value again, and we'll also increment the k value here. Now we can say that we have completed the sorting process over here, and this is all about the merge function. Now let's define our last function, that is the display function, which is used for printing the array. So we'll write void display. The first parameter is the array. We are passing it in the form of a pointer. Then the next parameter is the size of the array. So we'll write int size over here. Now we'll have a simple for loop. Then we'll write in the for loop, that is int I equals to 0, then I is less than the size of the array, then I plus plus as the incrementation. Within the for loop, we'll write simply the cout statement to print the array elements one by one. So we'll write array of I, then they should be separated by a single space. So here it is, and simply after the end of the for loop, for a new line, we'll write this statement. So here completes the whole code for basically merge sort. We can see the complete code, and now basically we'll save it at first and then run it. So it will ask us to enter the size of the array. Let's say we have 5 elements in it. We can enter any 5 elements. Once we do so, then we can see that The array before sorting is this one, and then the array after sorting is the sorted one. So here completes our merge sort. I hope you have understood merge sort algorithm from this video. So thank you for watching.